So today we are going to talk about something very new and very interesting. And I was checking on AWS Health Lake. It was released during 2020 reInvent. It was like a first previewed. Considering that it is such a new piece of new technology, new service that is enabling a lot of healthcare services or healthcare providers to mine valuable data and do a lot of good analytics and application and the true application of AI and ML in every shape and form. We should. I want to. I think we should talk about what you have done. Right? I think as a team, you have built some very interesting. You have solved some very interesting use cases. You had few challenges. I think though we can share those things. We can talk about some of the services that you used when you talk about Health Lake, some of the problems, and the whole nine yards. Sounds like a plan?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So before we get started, I think let's go with a brief round of introduction. So Nitin, go ahead.
So hi, my name is Nitin. I'm working in Identity Star as a data engineer. Now started my phase with data engineering works, getting data from point A to point B through different analytics, getting the data into warehousing, and slowly from connecting data from point A to point B, I slowly started exploring this data science part where we started applying analytics and running SageMaker models and different. So as long as the new market opens up, we try to go and learn that and get things done. Even in terms of AI also, I think we have explored on mostly chatbots and latest cognitive services approached by AWS. Few services I could name was Rekognition Textract, which provides state-of-the-art models which converts text to speech and uses NLPs. So that's my findings for now. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hey everyone, good morning and good evening to all of you who are joining from different part of the world. I'm very glad that you can join us today. My name is Nitin Jose, and I'm working as associate data scientist at Identity Star. I usually deals with creating models, getting insights out of it, and testing and doing a lot of R&D on usually the SageMaker, which is my go-to-go suite for ML modeling. I'm from mechanical background. I'm a self-taught data scientist, and being a researcher, I mostly dwell in a phase where I try to find projects which are in interdisciplinary in nature, like IoTs, and I tend to be among few people, or I hope to be among few people who will be solving the autonomous problems or be part of the autonomous mobility solutions. So this sums about me.
Awesome. Thank you. My name is Nagaraj Bukapatnam. I lead Center for Business Analytics at University of New Hampshire. I'm sort of an evangelist on the technology side. I work very closely with AWS on developing some of the cutting edge solutions out there. So Tunga is on the call, right? So let's go ahead. Okay, where do you want to start? You want to start about data lake? Start with data lake, or talk about trends in the data, storage, retrieval?
Yeah, so we go with this industry standard FHIR format and where this AWS Healthcare stands. So
you're jumping right into this. So I would talk a little about the evolution, right? I think you definitely feel free to chip in. This is make it as conversational as possible. So let's talk about how the story behind the data. Like in the good old days, we had like everything was SQL, NoSQL came through. Then there's a concept of data warehouses. Then we saw the evolution and adoption of data lakes. I think you have done a lot of work there also. So what's happening is we looked at structured data, we looked at unstructured data, then we said, how can we club structured and unstructured data to gain really valuable insights from, right? And that's when the concept of data lakes came into existence. And a new paradigm in the data lake concept is Health Lake, right? So the whole idea of Health Lake is to bring different data points related to a healthcare industry, right? From the patient data to demographics, psychographic data, bring everything together to really like gain the value, right? Like create the real data asset. So that's the whole idea behind Health Lake. So Nitin, I know like you talked about a FHIR format, right? So that's a good segue. First and foremost, what's the biggest challenge when you talk about health data? It's in terms of security, compliance. Right? So that's when we have to look at the new formats, ensure that whatever data we store conforms to this latest and greatest FHIR standards and FHIR format. And then how do we ensure that we take care of the security, right? So tell me more about FHIR, Nitin. Like, what did you learn?
So for that file format, it's better if he has a 2 slide which he can explain with the format technology. So like your question I've added at the last, like challenges of that.
No, just give us a brief synopsis of
FHIR. Challenges of combining data.
No, just talk about FHIR. Like, what is the format about? What kind of data has to like fall into the FHIR format? Like, it's not like all data has to be in that format, right? What data has to be?
So I can chip in from my side.
Sure.
So can you give me an access to can
that to share? Yep. Share screen to. Are you able to do it now?
The host has given. Can Tunga give me access to the sharing the screen?
Now you should be able to.
Now you should be.
Yeah. You should be able to.
Can you see my screen? So actually, as already you mentioned, why there is a need for FHIR or a data lakes to be there. After the evolution from the database to an on-cloud premises, we moved from normal databases to a health lake. Usually the data, whatever the medical data, there used to be transit in the EHR format, the EMR form, the electronic medical record format, be that in a ND-JSON structure or JSON structure, but there was a less interoperability between the systems, because whatever the solution was there, that was catered to one hospital or one specific chain of hospitals need. The software was very specific. So they may have at the end, they may have a CSV or a text format at the end as a documentation, but there was a lot of information which getting lost in that medium. So then the FHIR, the community started the interoperability community came in, and they created a format called FHIR, that is like fast healthcare interoperability. It gives the flexibility among two systems to talk to each other. It's based upon a REST API. So that is a game changing, and that is being adopted a lot of hospitals. Around 80% of the US hospitals are moving into an FHIR format, so that when they want to share their data from one format to another format, so there is a consistency is maintained there. So that brings us to the health lake. Why there is a need for health lake? Because as you already know, the medical data is highly contextual and may contain inconsistencies, and it is spread across very disparate system. The ECG centers might have been data for ECG, but the radiology will not be sharing those system in. They might have a single server unit, but this data, the one single patient data will not be exchanged between one place to another. So to overcome those challenges, a single digitized data storage is a very good option. But then how does it differ from a normal data lakes, that the questions arise? So Health Lake helps us in compliance issue. Health Lake comes in and it gives it's a HIPAA eligible services. It follows the HIPAA Act where it has enacted that the privacy and the PHI, the public health information, and the personal health information of a patient has to be protected. So on top of that, it has been a game changer in the industry, where it will give the assurance to any client or whoever is the stakeholder that whatever the service is there, this health lake will keep you covered in the compliance region. It offers AWS security also. And top of that, it has already inbuilt NLP models is there. So we'll be looking into those things in the next few slides. So that is why I think health lake is a game changer, and how important FHR format is for the health lake.
This is informative. This is very informative. So what is like when you talk about medical data being contextual, what does it mean?
First of all, I means that suppose images, when we take any medical MRI or any ECG gram, the ECG reports are always in graphs. That will always be in graphs, and they will have some numeric values that may be interpreted by practitioner, but that will not be added on it Excel sheet or in a text format. Same like when we do a cardiograph, there is an image. So that image may be interpreted by a practitioner in a good sense, but that will not make sense when somebody is looking into from in a paper form. So that inconsistency is maintained throughout the in medical data. So because some tests take in some format, some tests will take another format. So that kind of things has to be standardized or normalized. So that is where this health lake will assist you in doing that.
Very interesting. Tell me what's next.
So we just found out why there is a need for health lake. There is a lot of problems there, and we will be solving through our health lake services. So then comes what is meant by health lake. As you already explained that this is a new offering by Amazon, and why we should chip in. It's a HIPAA eligible service. That is like one of the main thing which we should consider, because in the US it has to be in the HIPAA eligible service, or in the European countries it has to be GDPR. So if you want to host any data or any medical data in a on cloud premises, then it should be HIPAA eligible or a GDPR compliant services. So no, simply creating a data lake and storing will not do that, because you will be stuck in the paperwork alone. So that this health lake will assist you in that. And most of the time, there are codes, RX codes and ICMR norms are there inside the practitioners. So medications. Suppose a practitioner assigns you a medicine called clintoperine. So that is maybe that for hypertension, but that will have a terminology on basis ontological terminology. The diabetic 2 might be different from diabetic 1. So that will have a terminology specifically. So this health lake does have an NLP already trained NLP, which identify automatically and tag these things to the document references. So the time consuming method of tagging on a manual basis will be avoided. So I think that is a very good function of health lake. So we just covered that it's a HIPAA eligible. It do the tagging and indexing all the normalized data, and it has already in structured NLP, which is already trained on thousands of models. So all the terminologies will be added to its appropriate. You can get a holistic view out of it. So this is what I've been explaining about how does it work. When the structured data comes into a format, it will directly go to Amazon Health Lake. We'll be using on-premise connector, which is encrypted, and we will be using encryption key to use that. This Health Lake will be embedded within an NLP models, and they will be based upon the industry standards. Whatever the industry standard, it will be directly pinging it, and it will map the ontology and will present as in a queryable manner. So before the raw data, you will get the data in transit in this mode, so that you can see that a complete holistic view of a patient can be formed here, whether over a complete lifetime cycle. So suppose if a patient has a medical history in a particular hospital, then entire data can be put into the health lake, and this data will automatically get tagged to those particular patient, and it will be available for any clinical or practitioner to view it. So it will act as a complete single silo to give us the flexibility to use all the APIs which are connected with it.
And hold on. So what you're essentially telling is this is a service any health practice can enable. It's a matter of connecting their data with Health Lake using API, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
So what I meant by is that all the data across disparate systems in different part of the hospitals can go to a single entity. There, that will be in unstructured format, because some tagging will not be properly done. Being Health Lake, it has its own machine learning, advanced machine learning models and algorithms already trained on that. It will automatically start tagging and indexing on based of the latest ontology mapping as well as the standards of the industry. Suppose if there are no new codes, or there are new, when you assign a medicine into pharmacy, then they will have a codes for each medicines. These medicines, it can automatically get tagged to the medicines and automatically will be shipped to that particular patient. It will convert it to as an element, and that can be tagged into patient's information. So that will give an entire view of the patients, whatever procedure or whatever test he has gone through, we can find it in a single entity. So that is like the highlight of the Health Lake.
So in a couple of, in the previous slides, you talked about each hospital maintains their own set of systems. They have their own data formats. So like, how do we ensure that, how does any practitioner ensure that, look, whatever data I as a healthcare system have can be like stored, retrieved, or like can be processed in Health Lake? How do we, are there any basic checks and balances or checks and conditions that we need to?
Yeah. Currently, Health Lake, after the previews, only accept the data in R format only, FHIR R format only. So the data has to be that available in that format only. And almost 80% of the hospitals are moving to an R format, FHIR R format data. But some hospitals might be there which they are not used to this kind of system. For that, AWS offer their partner solutions. They have their partners who will convert this legacy data to the data which can be acceptable by the Health Lake. So that solution is also available. So if that condition is met, then once the data is in FHIR format, we can create a very secure direct line from the on-premise to the cloud environment, and we can leverage the Health Lake.
Got it. Thank you.
So at the end, we have just seen that what is Health Lake and why we are using it. So we need to find out what is the benefits of these things. Why should we take this much pain to put our data into the healthcare? And what we get out of it? That is, I think, the main question. What is the KPI out of it for doing this much of pain and paying this much of money? So this is the latest example. What I've seen is that the Rush University, which is based on Santa Monica, I guess, is using this Health Lake as their COVID-19 prevention and intervention platform. So the early detection and prevention of COVID-19 and the locality trends can be easily through Health Lake. So they are the one who's using that as an application there. It can be used as an application health management, as I just mentioned, that you can easily analyze a trend of entire area where the patient has been served, or you can identify the most appropriate intervention time. Health Lake gives a lot of analysis, a lot of insight also that might be useful for insurance companies as well as hospital to aid into find a better solution or better package, so that which are the services. For suppose in our case, we have working on a case where we found out that certain procedures are taking a lot of money, as well as a lot of claim amount has been claimed for certain procedures, and a lot of people are spending on particular procedures. If we are able to bundle up with a new insurance package so that the patient can easily use that kind of services, that will automatically help in optimizing the hospital efficiency. It's also facilitate the accelerated innovation, because as we know that AI ML needs very clean data or an adequate data to make a model out of it. So this healthcare will help us to normalize and find useful data out of unstructured data. So that is like one of the major benefits of using Health Lake also. So we'll be explaining you a use case also. Let me show you how we can query medicine, so that you might have a broader understanding what I meant by that. Suppose this is a medicine which is available. If I want to Is my screen visible now?
Yes, Nitin. Yeah.
Yeah. I just want to show you what I meant by a query possibility of Health Lake. See, we have already a data store running for now, and we have already imported a lot of data. Due to some proprietary reason, we cannot reveal the data, but I can show you how does it work. So suppose I want to, it comes into a single silos. I want to check a medicine, that whether the medication is available or not. So I'll directly go to the data store which is created there. I'll use a search function for that. They will have a lot of APIs, search API, update API, read API. So we'll be using one of the, and these I'm using in the console only. So suppose I want to use what kind of medication are being used by different people or different person. So then I need to add the parameter and just need to search it. So you automatically get the queries that this many people are using this particular medicine. So if there is a demand and supply optimization requirement, then I can easily do it from here. So this is one of the use case we are working on. This is the architecture for that. We have a data on premise. Any doubt till now?
I'll have more questions later.
Yeah, sure, sir. So we have an architecture on premise, and we are working on this based on this architecture. So as you've already seen that this is a FHI server from an hospital, and we're pulling the data through Direct Connect, which is in AWS service. So robust connectivity as well as security. Once the data get into the Health Lake, we'll be using the Health Lake functions, and it will normalize the data. Once the data is extracted and is stored in the S3 bucket, which is the local the cloud storage for our application, we'll be using Glue crawlers. What the Glue crawlers does is that it will start extracting the metadata out of it. What we require is, because usually this healthcare data will have a lot of values, which a lot of URL will be there, which is not the scope of our application. So whatever is required, we'll be using a metadata catalog to create it. From there, we'll be creating a database based upon the client's requirement or stakeholders requirement. Once it is done, we can use a QuickSight as well as SageMaker for machine learning processes. This was, I was talking about the FHR RFM. Before the ingestion, it looks like this. It will be in a REST API. FHR is a kind of a REST API only. So two systems communicate with each other. So that gives an high interoperability between different systems. So this data can be ingested easily into the Health Lake, where we'll be using import functions. Once the import function is done, we'll be using an export function, and the data at the end data will look like this. What the Health Lake does is that it converts all this data, export data, into resource type, FHIR resource type, which is acceptable by the FHIR. So those resource type are the currently the AWS Health Lake supports 75 resource types. So these are the resource types which automatically all the information concerned with resource type will get automatically tagged to those resource types. Suppose if any details about allergy is there, so this resource type allergy intolerance will have that kind of detail. If any detail regarding a practitioner or a care plan is for a patient, then that information will tag automatically to the care team as well as care plan. So this is what Health Lake helps in does it. It automatically extract those information as an element basis, and it will tag into these resource types, which can be queried later for our use. So this is a service called Glue, which I've just mentioned, which will be useful for, it's in a offering from AWS as a server's ETL tool. So it will extract, transform, and load the data. So the data integration part, as well as performing any data transformation, can be easily done through the crawler. And this data is stored as a metadata in the AWS Amazon Glue catalog. Once the data comes into that catalog, we'll have AWS Athena, which is a serverless query service. We can use query to format data tables out of it. We can create data bases out of it, and there are, as I mentioned, a lot of informations are there. So what data needs to be there, we can take that data and we can form a new table out of it. I will just show you a table. So this is one of the table. So as I mentioned, just it will convert all the data. This is the in-house data in the health lake. This is coming into all the resources. Here it is converted to 27 resources. So this data I can easily convert to a new table. I can modify it one based upon my requirement. So suppose there is a claim care plan requirement is there. So I can just run the query and then I can find it. What type of query is need to be there. So it will give me an idea what kind of information is there. Or if you want any other information, suppose on the immunization or any medication, what kind of medicines are being used, or what is the location of, or what is details about the patient, it can be easily queried from the Athena. So how do you use this details, or how do you use this data once it is available in database? It has to make some sense, or it has to show some insight. So where that is where the QuickSight comes in. It is a offering, AWS offering, as you already know, for a business intelligence tool. So once the data comes in, it will, from the Athena, it can easily pull the data and integrate it with the QuickSight. I have a dashboard prepared on our use cases, so it might be very good use case to just refer. So we have extracted insights from each resource type and tagged along with it. So this gives a demographic idea of the particular data set we are using. How many males are there, how many females are there. We are keeping adequate measure to not reveal any PHI information and be compliant with the regulatory. So all the information regarding the patient and their ethnicity, what languages they speak in particular area, and from which cities are most of the patients there. So this kind of information can be easily seen. As you already see, you can see that most of these patients, hospitals patients, are from Boston area and Massachusetts area. So that also can be easily viewed. We can find that the allergy of that particular data, which being the patient data we have, that we found out that majority of the patients have environmental related allergies, and second then comes the food and medication. And we just found out what is the timeline across in a year where is the increase and decrease of this allergy also. So you can see that there is an increase in May, and again there is increase in September. So in summer and there is a fall, there is a high chances of having an allergy. So that is where that will give the practitioner, how will add to the hospital, that gives in a practitioner, or that gives any stakeholder information to be better prepared, so that there might be increase in allergies on that time based of historical data, so that they can be better equipped for the upcoming increase in that. It also show the what is the main reason for that allergy. From here you can see that almost 37 to 40 patients have animal data. So it also give an idea what kind of materials they are allergic to. So I think it's a very powerful solution and powerful insight we can get from Health Lake through QuickSight. Year-wise mention of the allergy increase and decrease is also shown here. So you can see that there is increase in 2013, 2015, and then there was a drop. I think COVID came. Then in 2021, there is increase. So this kind of information is very powerful, I guess. It can better serve in a hospital for be a more efficient one. Detail about the financial interactions is also there. It also shows that what is the maximum amount of money which claimed from these hospitals, gives an complete view. And it gives an year-wise view also, whether there was increase and decrease in claim also. So it will offer you a trend and early insights in that area. This is what the use case I was talking about, where we have just identified that the majority of the claim has been claimed into the outpatient procedures. So, and prenatal visits. If so, if there is a much more better offering in this sports section, then the patient might take this coverage more. So that offers the claim companies as well as the hospitals very good idea how to package their insurance policies and cover their conditions so that they offer a robust offering to them. Condition medicines is also is there. You can see that here. You can see that we identify that in our database, the data we are dealing with have a huge number of hypertension patients and the major 3 or 4 medicines being used. So the stock out and supply chain demand can be easily optimized here, because we can easily see that majority of the medicines are these 3 only for hypertension and for diabetic also. So that adds a very good value to a stakeholder or as well as a hospital to be better prepared for any medical any reduce in the medication or any problem in their supply or demand and this thing. We do have information about vaccination also. We have identified that in this particular data, we have influenza vaccines being offered more. So you can see that from this particular data, the influenza as compared to hepatitis B, hepatitis A, and booster shots are more. So they can be better prepared. And we can see that what is the increase in the booster shots being done here. You can see that there is a considerable increase in March, February and March mid, as well as in September for these shots. So these add a value to a stakeholder so that they can be better prepared, better equipped for these kind of things to be coming in future. So that goes for the QuickSight part. We have identified a machine learning model also. We are creating a insurance model also to assist our insurance provider. We are using AWS SageMaker as a platform. So this AWS SageMaker is a complete fully managed offering from machine learning suite of the AWS, which offer high scalability and high flexibility. Due to data being sensitive, I cannot show you the model or the details of the notebook which I'm using, but I can show you, given a general idea how this SageMaker is being helpful for us to develop a regression model for our insurance customer. One of the best thing which I see is that it offers a direct connectivity. Amazon Health Lake being in the same environment, it offers a direct connectivity through Athena. So I don't need to include any more services such as any SQL-based library or SQL-based third-party application. It will directly get embedded into my notebook. So once the data get updated in the database, automatically the real time the data will get updated in my SageMaker notebook where I will be building the model. Second thing I find it that the feature store is one of the best things, which is I think is not I think this discussion has not occurred a lot, but this has to be the one that has like driving the SageMaker, because there are times when we have features made for particular data, and these features can be used for any other analysis. But every time if you want to use that features, then they have to spin a notebook out of it. For doing that, they have introduced a feature store. So that gives me, SageMaker gives me flexibility to store my feature as a feature store. So suppose if I want to use that feature in tomorrow for a new model, I can use that and I can store that. So that flexibility. Here you can see that we are using an age feature for our modeling. So that is there. SageMaker also offers me advanced analytics out of it. Some information which are not easily being viewed by the QuickSight dashboard can be easily viewed by the SageMaker, and that data can be again revert back for inference in the QuickSight. So here you can see that the mean value of and median value of the age of female and male can be easily queried in the SageMaker. The claim amount, extremes of the claim amount and the distribution of the claim amount can be easily viewed in that. And the amount of claim amount being different disparate systems means in an age group scenario is also shown here. So this kind of information can be easily we can extract from the SageMaker using the Athena database. I can show you the, if you're interested, I can show you the notebook and give you a general idea. How does it looks? Is that okay?
Absolutely. Just give a high-level synopsis.
Yeah, sure. That I will not be revealing any data, but I'll just give you an idea that how does it function. SageMaker is using SageMaker is based on a Jupyter framework, so it is like known to everybody. I think most of the data scientists are familiar with this framework, but it has using its inbuilt container. It has like Docker containers build algorithms. Okay, either you can build your own container and you can bring your own model, or you can use the SageMakers. SageMakers I tend to use more because that is highly more customized, and the open source will have little bit drawbacks. So to create a model, we need to have some storage. So here I just give an idea. The storage can be created easily, and I'm using an S3 bucket to store my all the details. Then I'm creating a location where my model can be stored. In one of the benefits of using SageMaker is that it offers me a model training and training job features. What I meant by is that whenever I do a training job or whenever I do any modeling, at that time, suppose if I deploy a model, so again a new model and again a training job will be created. And suppose I want to use that training job for another data set, then I don't need to use this training, this Jupyter notebook. I don't need to run the entire thing again. I can directly invoke this using. So that flexibility is being given from me, from the SageMaker to me. So that is a very niche service which is offered by them. Here I just explained that put the model in the appropriate S3 containers. I saved it from future purpose, and then I create a model. And once the model is created, I upload it to the respective test, train, and validation files. From there, I will sync their location for training. Once it is done, I will hypertune the parameters. These are some general parameters to find which are the best model or to optimize model. So once it is done, I will be calling the XGBoost algorithm. I'm using the XGBoost because it works better on regression, and it is an ensemble-based model method. So that it will on every subsequent model building. At the end, I will get a final model, but that will be less error prone, and it will be one iteration after another iteration will be made on a fact that it will not train on the errors of the previous iteration. So next generation will be better than the previous one. On that, I'll get a final model. So once it is done, I will put into an estimator fit and my model is deployed. Now you may be asking how it is beneficial for us to be deployed model. So here you can see that once it is done, a model is created. See this training job. So in the future, if I want to train a new data set, a new data is coming, then I don't need to do all the steps again. I can just simply take this model number and use it as S3 URL to assign it to the notebook, and I can quickly I get a new model out of it. That offers me the endpoint flexibility. Endpoint actually, when you create a model, once you create a model, the endpoint is being created, and support. Here I will show you. In the inference, you can find that there is an endpoint being created, and this endpoint is live endpoint. Suppose if you want to embed the solution, whatever the model, machine learning model or the machine algorithm model we created, you want to get the new solution out of it, you can embed this in your web interference or web application. So just need to pass it through a Node.json based Lambda function, and once it is done, you can directly get the data. So that also helps me out not to again open the notebook, again train the data, again load the data. Whenever new data comes in, I can just simply it has act as a gateway so that the new data comes in and I get inference out of it. So that is also a very niche thing which we get from SageMaker, and it has very been beneficial to our use case because we want to use it as in a smartphone as well as in desktop models, web applications. So we are using this endpoint as a interference and a gateway interference for our new data to test. So something new comes in, they have to directly pass through this database through API gateway. So there is no need to run entire SageMaker. So we'll be cost efficient in that manner. So in conclusion, I would say that it offers, Amazon Health Lake offers much more data protection. As you already know that the data in transit as well as in motion is in sitting, and has like multi-factor authentication is there. And it is one of the best thing which I see also is that it is intended for its own audience only. Suppose if a medical practitioner does not have any clearance, then we are making sure that the if any other information is not being used by anybody else. So whoever has access to the IAM policy will be only be able to. As you already seen that you can, I showed you the dashboard of QuickSight. So if you are or somebody else is not authorized to see that dashboard, he will not be able to see that. So that is like one of the good things we have. And you can have n number of authorization on a different scale level. If suppose somebody wants to see only claim amount, then the claim department will not be able to see claim amount. They will not see the demographic or patient information. It offers the compliance issue from the Amazon Health Lake because they are taking everything, they are taking care of everything regarding the compliance issue. So that also gives us the flexibility that no need to do all the paperwork and be thinking on that area. It has, as you already know, these two things are the like backbone of AWS, resilience and as well as infrastructure security. Whatever is best being offered by AWS will be offered by the AWS and by de facto on Health Lake. On top of that, it will also have a TLS-based authentication and KMS-based, KMS like key managed services based authentication to better protect your personal health information. So on that matter also we are covered, and we can say that it offers a very robust solution for our healthcare needs. So that sums it up.
That's pretty good. A lot of information. I think you try to cover a lot of different angles, right from storage, security, compliance, and more important issue in terms of how do we get insights from the data, and how do we build the future from that. So I think so these are quite a few topics. So
I just gave you a 50,000 view of the area. So now we can direct into what the area we are more into.
Sure. So what are the typical services? Can you I know Health Lake combines a lot of AWS services to come up with that offering. So are there any, of course, coming from the analytics AI background, I'm always leaning towards SageMaker and QuickSight. So in terms of the storage, do you have any idea of the cost associated with implementing Health Lake? Because of
for each storage, it's like $6 for 24 hours. Yeah, so it depends upon the data also. Health Lake do have its limitation. Suppose you cannot import a function with more than 50 GBs of data, as well as not more than 10,000 of files at a go. So it might, so if you want to extract a petatype, AWS offers as a petatype scale offering. But if you want to do a large, more than 1,000 TBs of data, then there will be a delay, because for each import function, it will only take 50 GB. So that is one of the things which I see. For being cost efficient, I think S3 is the main, which will be holding this as a data storage. So that is very cost efficient, and a $0.03 is that I think for per 2 hours, 3 hours, that is the, I'm not sure of the exact figures, but it's cost efficient. Only amount is that Health Lake is little costly compared for $6 per data store. But when you compare with the compliance and the offers of security which offers, and you can be rest and sleep better that, okay, your data or the health data will not be revealed, or your data, there will not be any leakage there. So that in terms of ROE in a long term, it is a better offering.
So Nitin, like you worked on different services as you started the conversation talking about natural language processing and stuff. So what did you see any good benefit like when you looked at the competent like the services and what the kind of insights the service provides, like uh, how much programming you had to do, or like how robust the service is in terms of extracting good information and also automating some of the insights.
So when it came to automation, most of the AWS services are being serverless, self-managed. So all we had to do is analyze the data and structure and draw the pipeline where it has to load and when it has to be transformed. So speaking of that, the matter of codes will be just running few lambdas for import job and export jobs. Apart from that, crawler automatically fetches the data catalog, and it forms its own metadata. We need not specify or do any extra dynamic frames for that. So that is taken care for now. Apart from that, querying was required. So as Nijin showed, there are different resource types. If you remember from the Athena screen which he showed, there are different tables which talks about different parts of the patient's, different travel of the patients. Maybe take one, for example, as claims, medications, treatments and clinical therapies. Different information is stored in different resource types and databases. So combining these through a SQL, that's called FireSQL. So using FireSQL, we'll tend to show that also in the different PPTs. We get an overall picture of the patient's timeline, history with the treatments and all these claims. So only there was some part of analytics and queries were required. Apart from that, not much in terms of actual coding. If at all we have to make applications based out of this, then we would require a lot of coding in terms of actuating after the SageMaker's model is done, right? So whatever notebook he has shown, in practical ways, it is just going to be an inference engine. Just you get in the data and get the feedback out of it. So what do we do with that results? So there, building on application and cascading different services, we might go a long way.
That's very insightful. One question I have to ask is in terms of, like you mentioned a very important point. How do you store the data to have to be effective, right? Effective in terms of able to gain insights, effective in terms of like, hey, we are not storing the data that is irrelevant for solving a problem. More importantly, how do we ensure that the storage and retrieval process is optimized so that whether you are integrating with QuickSight, whether you are integrating with SageMaker, you are not spending countless hours trying to do modeling and so on. Like, did you have to go through a lot of did you have to work a lot in terms of keeping making the data storage and retrieval process seamless?
Storage and retrieval process, it's I could say if at all we don't get it in file format, it would have been a challenge. So as we are getting this in file format, which it's structured, even though we have unstructured things through links, it's clearly resource types are tagged, as Nitin has told. So once this tagged information is stored, everything is based on trigger events based on every file which falls inside S3 bucket. So it carries the same name throughout till the database. So storage and retrieval in the sense import and export. Only the part where we had to decide which table goes with what and how do you combine the patient's table. For SQL, their retrieval was a bit of challenge. It depends on the design of what the client wants. See, my needs are different or different hospitals' needs are different. So based on that, the retrieval process changes. And once we introduce the structured SQL, it can be synced out on wherever it is required by a data scientist.
Oh, that's important. in terms of prediction, like how effective, how effective was the prediction? Like in this case, I know you're working with a lot of known and unknown data, but
Yeah, sure. Predictions are always in percentages, so we cannot be very accurate. But there are cases, multiple models are there, which I got around 50, 40, 50. That is not acceptable. But sometimes when we do hyperparameter tunings, which I just explained, that having a training jobs is my job, not to again train it. Just extract those thing which is needed and train that thing. So that gives around 70%. So if the data is very strong, we can easily, it depends upon the requirement of the client or the stakeholders. If I want to do a classification where there is already a label which is called diabetic, whether the person is a diabetic or not, based upon the survey form when a patient goes to hospital, if that kind of data is already tagged in, it will be far more 80% prediction I can easily guarantee on basis of that kind of information. So it depends upon data to data. So here in our case, we got at least 65 plus. I'm doing till now, I'm doing the hyperparameter tuning on doing increasing more that. So I can expect at least 60% accuracy, you can expect that. But a prediction is always prediction, so you cannot be always sure.
absolutely, no, totally understood. Because one thing is the ease of integrating, right?
Yeah,
You have all this data. It's just a matter of plugging in the SageMaker service, and then lo and behold, you have something to start with.
Yeah,
Isn't it?
exactly.
So, are there any out of the box, any specific algorithms that are like posted that are available on SageMaker for health lake related data?
Yeah, in a SageMaker environment, I guess 15 plus algorithms are present as an inbuilt algorithm. They have open source library, but they are optimized. They have been trained a lot, so they are optimized as an offering, as in a Docker container, as an image. So I'm using XGBoost. It's an ensemble based, and it is very good for classification and regression problems. So suppose you comes with Nijin, I want an image to be clustered in a certain metastasis. Recently, the AWS was working with the metastatic databases to as a healthcare data. So for that, they're using KNN base, the K nearest neighbors and clustering algorithms. So based upon the needs, we have algorithms present. Suppose you don't have any algorithms and you have an algorithm which is performing better than the inbuilt one, then you can pull it as a container into an inbuilt environment. The SageMaker offers open source library such as MXNet and Dockers. So you can just get the Docker image and you can directly put in the script from where you want to run it. So you can easily integrate, you will get best of the both of the worlds. You can get inbuilt container as well as you will get your own algorithm which you made for this particular solution. So that flexibility is still there in SageMaker. So that is a very good thing.
That's absolutely helpful. I don't have any questions. I think Fazal asked a question. He's asking what's the difference between AWS Health Lake versus the other health lakes?
We might be referring to normal data lake. Yeah, actually, Health Lake, as you already know, is a new offering from this. A data lake will store your data, will help you extract the data and store and transform and do queries, but it will not have inbuilt NLPs in that. Health Lake being so costly is the reason that it has its own machine learning models integrated with that. They have their advanced NLP models already integrated. So as I already mentioned, there is a document reference which comes with the FHAIR. So whenever a new data comes in, it will automatically get tagged to different resource type, as we already know into care plan, allergy tolerance, etc., etc. How do you tag these resources apart from having a document reference? That is where this NLP and this machine learning model will work. So they'll automatically convert this into element and they'll start tagging along with the document reference. So you will get a robust tagging of that thing. So that our service is not usually available in a data lake. Data lake is a kind of storage only where you just store it. But if you want to convert it to a data lake to a health lake, then you have to run your own NLP model on top of that. So that entire complexity is being removed directly and you offered as a complete solution in one package in Health Lake.
So it's almost like augmenting at every stage, right? Like we already know that QuickSight is AI-enabled BI. So right now,
exactly.
Yeah. One step further and said every data is augmented through AI and it has its own way of looking at deriving the insights. this was very helpful. I think we are on dot here. Thank you for sharing this valuable information. I hope the audience got some good good details about HealthLake, what it does, what it can do, and how it can augment any healthcare business. So thank you for sharing.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for sharing stage with us. So we hope that this webinar was helpful to all of you who joined from different part of the world. So I think I'm very grateful for this opportunity, and I thank ITT Star as well as Nagra sir for being present here, and the University of New Hampshire for assisting in that also.
Thank you.
So I'm very thankful.
Thank you.